Part 137. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1361. Chapter 1361. As high as a mountain, there is another mountain. Hey, Yu Lingfeng, I was just about to call you, but two crazy people, Qian Yanjiu and Qian Yins, led Qian Sha to kill the shadow hunters. I couldn't stop it at all. While Xia Ying was speaking, Yu Lingfeng could already tell from the other end of the phone that the fighting was going on there, which was very intense. Well, I'm already fine here too. If you are fine, as a tourist, go to Weibo and watch your Weibo live broadcast. Xia Ying was stunned by Yu Lingfeng's words. My Weibo is live broadcasting. What is the live broadcast? Xia Ying suddenly woke up, and then took a breath of cold air. Have you already done it? Yu Lingfeng glanced in Jundi's direction and said, that's pretty much it? Good. When Xia Ying came to Weibo, Jundi's live broadcast was already on the hot search list. Xia Ying's live broadcast room was down several times due to heavy traffic, and then came back online. At this moment, all the hot searches on Weibo are, Jun Chennai case reversal, Xia Ying Weibo, Jun De live broadcast, Jun family civil strife. And they are all popular tags. Xia Ying went to Weibo several times, and was blocked several times due to computer downtime. It seems that the impact of this incident is indeed large enough. Yu Lingfeng called Yu Moliang again and asked him to arrange wrong CI and then rushed over. Yu Lingfeng planned to go to the prison in person to guard Jun Chennai to prevent Jundi's people in the prison from doing anything to harm Jun Chennai. At this time, on Weibo, everyone was discussing the matter of the group. Oh my god! Do you believe it or not, Jundi actually came out to reverse the plot, and he arranged everything by himself? But isn't he Jun Chennai's biological uncle? Jun Chennai loves him so much. In the past, no matter how busy he was, he would send him messages on Weibo to celebrate his birthday, with pictures of them celebrating his birthday together. Oh my god, what is the love of a plastic-rich family? It's ridiculous. I think Jundi is about to retire now, and he just made it up to protect Jun Chen. Otherwise, if he was fine, why would he confess now? I don't think it is credible and deserves scrutiny. I knew that our young master Jun was wrongly accused, so pity that my young master, Jun, has been in prison for so long. I don't know if you still remember that there was a post analyzing Jun Chennai's case. It was so prophetic. Oh, by the way, that post was quickly deleted, and now it seems that everything is traceable. I believe Jun Chennai is innocent. Am I the only one who thinks Jundi is threatened? Looking at his eyes, he glanced ahead from time to time. I seem to hear the voice of my male Yu Lingfeng just now. Is the one in front a devil? Yu Lingfeng only appeared once. Can you hear this? At this moment, the inside of the Jun family has exploded. This was something that no one expected, and they were simply caught off guard. Jun Xianyan, who was still lying in the hospital, almost jumped out of bed in anger when he heard Jun De saying that he was the one responsible for his car accident. Now think about it, when Jun Xianyan came up with the method of sexually assaulting a young child to frame Jun Chennai, it was all instigated by Jun De. Everything was within his expectations, he was just a pawn. Jun Xianyan thought that he was unscrupulous enough, but he didn't expect that there would be another mountain higher than the other. Jun De really impressed him this time. When Jun De finished the live broadcast and told everything he had done, the sound of police cars sounded downstairs. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1362. Chapter 1362. No blood relationship at all. Jun De was arrested, and Jun Chennai returned to the public eye. Jun Chennai's first Weibo post was to announce his retirement from the entertainment industry, enter the business world, and become the heir to the Jun family. There were not the expected outcry on Weibo. Jun Chaniai's die-hard fans for many years jumped out to support Jun Chaniai, understanding and supporting all the decisions he made. I have liked you for 6 years. No matter what you do, I will always support you. We will always be your strongest backing. I have never questioned your character. Even if you are accused by thousands of people, I have always believed that you must be innocent and that you will come back one day. I have been a fan of you for so many years and have remained unknown. Today is the first time I leave you a message. I hope you will continue to shine in the business world. The eternal young master, no one can rival him. There is really nothing to be attached to in this entertainment industry. We will always remember your talent, and you must not forget it either. Jun Chaniai read each message one by one very carefully. When he finished reading it, his face was filled with tears and his eyes were red. He is lucky, he still has so many people who love him. When Jun Chaniai was released from prison, he went to see Jun De. Jun Chaniai said to Jun De, "In the past, you have always been the person I respected the most. I loved you even more than my own father. I have always regarded you as an example for me to follow when I inherit the Jun family in the future. But, I never thought, not at all, that you were such a person." Jun De just kept sneering, "You will never understand how I got here in this life. You only see my beauty, but you never see my sadness and darkness. Each of you, it's all selfish. You are selfish, forcing your own pain on others. If the woman you like is still alive, you will definitely not make it to the end." Jun Chaniai's last words deeply hurt Jun De's heart. "But I don't even have such a hypothesis anymore." Jun De slumped in his seat, thought of something, and asked again, "Is Rong Ci okay?" "He is in the hospital." Jun Chaniai replied coldly, "But you will never see him again in this life." "I know." Jun De's words contained a hint of sadness. "He has never even heard a word in his life, Dad." However, both Jun De and Jun Chaniai were wrong. 2 months later, Rong Ci came to see Jun De, accompanied by Grandpa Jun. Jun De was overjoyed. He thought he would never see Rong Ci again in his life, but he never thought that he would still have a chance to see him. Jun De looked at Rong Ci with tearful eyes. Rong Ci had a straight face and the first thing he said was, "Put away your unnecessary tears. Rong Ci, I don't expect you to forgive me, but I am your father. No matter what I do it for you. You're just trying to satisfy your own revenge." Rong Ci took a deep breath and then said, "By the way, as for the father you mentioned, he never was. You and I have no blood relationship at all." Jun De's eyes widened in surprise, his lips trembled, and his words were intermittent, making people feel as if he would die of myocardial infarction in the next second. "How is it possible? I did a DNA test back then. But you won't think that I did anything about it?" Grandpa Jun suddenly smiled secretly. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1363. Chapter 1363, Only Believe in My Own Memory. What? Jun De jumped up from his seat, completely at a loss. My legs were shaking constantly. Rong Kai is not your child, never has been. Grandpa Jun continued. Oh, that's ridiculous, you're lying to me, you're just lying to me. Jun De gritted his teeth and glared at Grandpa Jun fiercely. How could Rong Ci not be his child? The time of Rong Ci's birth happened to match, and he had clearly done a DNA test, so there was no doubt that Rong Ci was his flesh and blood. After that woman died, you were like a walking zombie, as if you had lost your soul. I did that just to leave you with hope and a reason to live. However, I didn't expect that you would become pregnant because of it. Malice and desire for revenge. When Grandpa June talked about this past event, the expression on his face was extremely helpless. The son he was most optimistic about at the beginning is now in jail and has become such a heinous character. He doesn't know how uncomfortable he feels in his heart. Oh, put away your loving and good father attitude. If it weren't for you, Susu wouldn't have died. It's all your fault. Junde thought about what Grandpa June did back then, and his teeth trembled with anger. Don't you understand now? Grandpa June smiled bitterly, that woman never loved you. The reason why she died of depression was because the man she liked abandoned her, and she was despised by her family. She has never loved you. It's not because of you. To him, you are just a from beginning to end, a for the man she loves to climb up. Every word Grandpa June said was like a sharp dagger, cutting open wounds on Jundi's body again and again. The blood was dripping and the pain was excruciating. You, what are you talking nonsense about? Jundi was so angry that he covered his chest. If it weren't for the glass on the opposite side, he would definitely beat the person in front of him. Jundi, I never thought of breaking up you and the woman you like. Although it was hard for me to accept the first time I saw her that she was so much older than you, but as long as you like her, I can't help it. I will not take the initiative to break you up. I only approached you because I found out that the woman had a boyfriend and that she was being used by her boyfriend. That's why I tried my best to oppose you being together. I know you. You would hate me, but I never thought things would develop like that, let alone that you have been deliberately plotting to kill me behind my back. Grandpa Jun's face was filled with sadness, while Jundi over there lowered his head and couldn't see the expression on his face clearly, but he could faintly feel the loneliness and disbelief on his face. Grandpa June continued, I am a person who is not very good at expressing my feelings. Although I have always been strict with you and very demanding of you, I rarely praise you and rarely say that I love you. But in my heart, you have always been. They are all my best sons. My original intention was just to protect you. You were still young at that time and didn't understand what love was. I didn't want you to know the ugly face of that woman, and I wanted you to still have an open mind about love. There are expectations and hopes, so I would rather be the villain. It's enough. Jundi interrupted coldly, then raised his head. His face was extremely cold. She is already dead, so many years have passed, and I have no way of verifying whether what you say now is true or false. I only believe in me own memory. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1364. Chapter 1364. Another man whom I loved more deeply. I only remember how much you loved my brothers and how harshly you treated me since I was little. You never smiled at me, but you were so loving and gentle to them. Jundi smiled bitterly. Also, do you think the good wife in your eyes is such a good stepmother? You are rarely at home. When you are at home, she acts like a good wife and mother, and even pretends you love me the most. But when you were away, you didn't know the ugly face of that woman. That woman later died in a car accident because she had done so many evil things that even God could not stand it. The expression on Grandpa Jun's face changed instantly and became frightened. He had never heard Jundi say these words before, and indeed, he had never asked about them in all these years. He originally thought that his late wife had always treated Jundi as her own. I've had enough of you people. You and I have never been relatives. So there is no need for me to look at you as relatives. At the end of his sentence, Jundi showed a devilish smile. Jundi, I never thought you had been treated like this. Grandpa June sighed, if you had told me then. I was so afraid of you when I was little, how dare I say that? What's more, that woman won't let you believe it. She pretends so well, you will definitely believe her, and then think that I am being unreasonable. I won't. Oh, everything has already happened, it's meaningless for you to say this now. I am harsh on you because in my heart, You have always been the heir to the Jun family, so I hope you will live up to your expectations and be excellent. Hearing this, Jundi's expression became slightly moved. When I knew there was a mole in the Jun family, I was suspicious of everyone. But I never doubted you. I thought you could understand my good intentions. That's why I faked my death and asked you to take care of Jun home. Jundi said nothing with a straight face, and kept looking at the floor, making it difficult to tell any emotion. I have always felt that our father and son are the most alike, and now it seems that is indeed the case. We both bury our feelings too deeply and are not good at expressing them, so that we hurt the people around us. Jundi's eye circles began to gradually turn red. Actually, it was not that he had never thought about it. When she was with Susu before, she was not very happy. Most of the time, young Jundi entertains himself alone. But he was young at that time. As long as he was with the girl he liked, he was already very satisfied and didn't expect anything else. Thinking about it now, Susu may have liked herself, but deep down in her heart, there must be another man she loved more deeply, and that man was Rongsi's biological father. Jundi looked at Rongsi. Rongsi looked at Jundi with a completely unfamiliar expression. Rongsi had never seen Jundi like this before. He was very different from the aloof man he usually was. Jundi looked into Rongsi's eyes. His eyes were very similar to Susu's. She has a pair of gentle eyebrows, but her heart is stronger than anyone else. After Susu, Jundi had many women in his life, but none of them could enter his heart. No one can stay with him for a long time. Those women all have attractive characteristics. There must be something about them that makes Jundi think of Susu. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1365. Chapter 1365 Missing Arms and Legs. After returning from prison, Grandpa Jun returned to Jun's house, and Rong left the castle to watch Sanskrit music. Fanyan's physical condition has been getting worse and worse recently, and Rongsi is very worried about him. However, when Rongsi returned to the castle, Fanyan was missing. Rongsi only saw Lan 11, who had been taking care of her during this period. Where is the Sanskrit sound? Rongsi asked, looking at the empty bed. Don't worry, I brought Fanyan to my place. I'm going to give her the final stage of treatment. There are too many people in the castle and it's not suitable for treatment. Besides, you must be worried that it will cause trouble. Lan 11 looked at Rongsi with a smile. Don't worry, after a while, Fanyan will be able to come to you alive and kicking. Although Rongsi has not yet recovered from the shock of Fanyan suddenly disappearing, he believes in Lan 11. So he gradually calmed down. Thank you Lan 11, I've worked you during this time. It does not matter. Lan 11 said, turned around and went to pack some of Fanyan's luggage. What Rongsi didn't notice was that when Lan 11 turned around, the expression on her face suddenly changed. The originally smiling face immediately drooped, and his pupils were filled with bitterness and reluctance. At the same time, Qian Yanjia was also preparing to return home. I packed my things and prepared to have one last meal cooked by 11 Ju before leaving. Unexpectedly, Qian Yanjia discovered that Qian Yins had also packed his things, and looking at his posture, he seemed to be leaving with him. Qian Yanjia leaned against the wall and scanned Qian Yins up and down with a carefree look. Hey, why are you following me? You leave when I leave, isn't it poisonous? Qian Yanjia rolled his eyes, and then said, the troops will be divided into 2 groups later, don't be an eyesore to me on one path. Qian Yin smiled half-heartedly. He had long been accustomed to Qian Yanjia's expression and attitude that didn't deserve a beating. He just regarded it as a child playing house and having fun. Oh, by the way, I'm going back to Kinsha. All the protein powder Qian Yanjia had just poured into his mouth spurted out. Qian Yins looked at him with a dark face. Qian Yanjia coughed desperately. wiped the water stains from the corners of his mouth, and then stared at Jianyins with wide eyes like a monster. Are you looking for death? The people of Qinsha want to cut you into pieces. Besides, what are you going to do? You are not a star, so come and kill you. Jianyins frowned and said amusingly, really? They were quite friendly to me when we fought side by side last time. I think you are the only one who wants to cut me into pieces. Jianyanjia was speechless for a moment and hesitantly said, anyway, if you go to Qinsha, you will definitely be missing arms and legs. Well, let me lend you some good words. Damn, you are such a thick-skinned person, Jianyanjia retorted. I am now the gang leader of Qiansha, and as my gang leader, I prohibit you from entering. It's your business to keep it out, it's my business to get in. Oh, it's the first day I've met such a shameless person like you. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng passed by and heard the familiar quarrel. Well, these two people do this every day. They are more punctual than 3 meals a day. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng could also walk by with a calm expression and let the people behind them make noise. Because, at this time, they did not have the time or mood to pay attention to the two brothers. Yu Lingfeng had his own headache. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1366. Chapter 1366 Worthy. Next Monday is the best time for us to leave. Well, Cao is here. In front of Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng, they saw a handsome, tall man with a charming hormonal aura all over his body. Unlike Yu Lingfeng, who likes to dress neatly in black, the person in front of him likes colorful eyes the most, but no matter how tacky the color is, it always brings out a different charm when it comes to him. When Xia Ying saw him now, she could still see the image of Mr. R, who was so popular throughout China. He is indeed very suitable for living on a dazzling stage, and he is born with inherent attraction. However, this man only looks handsome and affectionate on the surface, but in fact it is difficult for people to figure out his heart. However, there is probably only one tendency, and that is to be self-centered. After Yu Moliang completely recovered his memory, he became more and more distant and indifferent towards Yu Lingfeng, especially now when Yu Lingfeng is so weak and he is still full of energy. Yu Lingfeng promised him that he would support him in becoming the successor. His only request is to bring him back safely, and when the time is right, Yu Lingfeng will come back to laugh at Xia Ying. Yu Moliang naturally agreed to such a deal. After all, the throne was what he wanted in his heart. As long as Yu Lingfeng and he are not on the same planet, he will have his own light. He no longer has to live with the title of Yu Lingfeng's younger brother. Yu Lingfeng nodded, then glanced at Xia Ying beside him. Xia Ying stared at Yu Lingfeng with a pair of eyes as bright as stars, wanting to blend him into her own flesh and blood and never be separated again. She was reluctant to let Yu Lingfeng leave, but at the same time she also knew that Yu Lingfeng had to leave. Yu Moliang's eyes were cold and indifferent, without any warmth, and even vaguely biased and disgusted. After all, he had been imprisoned for so many years, thanks to Yu Lingfeng, so he had some grudge in his heart. Xia Ying glanced at Yu Moliang and saw something from his face that he was not prepared to hide. Although their agreement has been reached, Xia Ying is still a little worried. What if something unexpected happens on the road? In order to take revenge, Yu Moliang directly threw Yu Lingfeng into the time and space tunnel, and what if he was left to fend for himself? Xia Ying always has various worries. Based on what Yu Moliang had done, Xia Ying had to be more considerate of him. Xia Ying now misses the memory of Yu Moliang, who was still at the age of 14, calling Yu Lingfeng brother one after another and following him around. Xia Ying also knew that Yu Lingfeng must also miss her very much. But they can never go back, never can go back. Xia Ying could tell that Yu Moliang had something to say to Yu Lingfeng alone, so she obediently took the first step and gave the space to them. Yu Moliang forgot about Xia Ying's leaving figure, looked at Yu Lingfeng, and twitched the corner of his mouth. Is it worth it for a woman? Yu Lingfeng narrowed his eyes and smiled lightly. You asked me once before. No matter how many times you ask, my answer is the same. It's worth it? It's very worth it? I do not understand. Yu Moliang said frankly. You'll understand when you meet yours. Yu Moliang sneered, you are better than me in everything, but do you know that compared with me, you are still a little behind? What? I will never be emotional. If emotions become a stumbling block on my road to success, I will kick it off without hesitation. The text is almost finished, let's finish it slowly. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1367. Chapter 1367 Treating Good Intentions as Donkey Liver and Lungs. You obviously have such good conditions and the throne is within your reach, but you gave it to me because of a woman. I feel really sorry for you. Yu Lingfeng just glanced at Yu Moliang lightly, and then said calmly, but you may never get the things I got. But the things you regret are not in my eyes, it's not a rare thing. After Yu Lingfeng said this, he turned around and left, walking to Xia Ying. Xia Ying was helping 11 Jews serve the dishes. Yu Lingfeng walked over, took the plate from Xia Ying's hand, and helped her carry it. Yu Moliang stood there, thinking about Yu Lingfeng's last words. Naturally, he didn't understand. He also didn't understand what was so good about the woman that Yu Lingfeng regarded as a treasure. For him, maybe it was like Yu Lingfeng said that he would never understand Yu Lingfeng's happiness at this moment. Since childhood, he has never understood Yu Lingfeng. He is the greatest hero on their planet and is invincible. Yu Moliang tried his best to reach his level, to be on an equal footing with him, without asking for defeat. Even if one day they could be on the same level, he would be happy. But his brother couldn't defeat him. At least after so many years, he had always been just his younger brother, not Yu Moliang. When he was on his home planet, Yu Moliang rarely saw a smile on Yu Lingfeng's face, but it was different here. Yu Lingfeng here seemed to be a different person. The expression he looked at that woman was so gentle, an emotion he had never seen on Yu Lingfeng's face before. Maybe he was truly happy at this moment. However, Yu Moliang now has everything. When he returns to his home planet, he will be the successor and the next king. However, in his heart now, there is only excitement, but no sense of happiness. He even feels a little empty. The fight between Qian Yanjiu and Qian Yins gradually stopped until Xia Ying went over to call them to eat, but the two looked at each other, and the disgust in their eyes was clearly visible. Xia Ying was helpless. You two have been arguing for so many years, why are you still acting like a child? It simply never grows up. Xia Ying was also defeated by them. Qian Yanjiu's eyes widened and he argued solemnly, he and I are different. He was the one who betrayed me first. I have done my best by not killing him. This guy still wants to come back now? He is Qian Sha. Is it his home? Come and leave whenever you want. Anyway, I will never allow this person to enter Qinsha. Qian Yins took a deep breath and narrated calmly, it was my fault back then, but now the situation is turbulent. We have killed all the shadow hunters in one fell swoop, but if we can't protect them all, the remaining parties will collude to come for revenge. I am also a part of the destruction of the shadow hunters. Responsibility, so at this time, I naturally have the responsibility to stand with Qinsha and fight against the remaining shadow hunters. When the situation calms down, I will not go back even if you beg me to go back. Qian Yanji rolled his eyes gorgeously and said angrily, damn, you don't believe in my ability? I am enough for Qian Sha, so you don't have to worry about it at all. I think you are afraid that people will seek revenge on you. Qianyins was confused. I treat good intentions like a donkey's liver and lungs. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1368. Chapter 1368, How did you talk to me? Don't use your pretense, keep your evil heart to yourself. Qian Yanjiu, why are you talking to me? How else do you think I should talk to you? Don't go too far. It depends on who you treat. Xia Ying held her forehead helplessly as the two living treasures started arguing again. After dinner, Xia Ying received an invitation from the group of little sisters, saying that they wanted to go shopping together and relax. Xia Ying felt that there was nothing important at the moment, so she agreed to them. Tang Guo is now a graduate student. Now that she knows Chu Shenming's intentions, Tang Guo is even more determined to get better. She doesn't want to embarrass such an outstanding boyfriend. Now, Tang Guo has always been very good at her homework. Well, he can be considered a slightly famous figure in their graduate school. Tang Guo saw the messages everyone sent on WeChat, and then glanced at the pile of homework in front of her. She didn't care, it's been a long time since she went out to play with them, so let's go wild for a while today. Tang Guo thought so, and then replied wait for me in the WeChat group, then turned around and started to clean up her sloppy appearance, getting ready to go out. Mu Niankai was the initiator of this event. Seeing that everyone had time to participate, Mu Niankai raised the corners of her mouth, smiled happily, and then typed sweetly, "Okay, then at 2:30, Nan Yuan assemble." Mu Niankai clicked the send button. At this time, Hanzija had already packed up and was getting ready to go to work. Seeing Mu Niankai sitting alone on the sofa and laughing happily, he frowned and asked suspiciously, "Why are you laughing so hard? Are you doing it again? Why are you peeking at some Korean oppa behind my back?" Mu Niankai has changed a lot over the years, but her nymphomaniac problem has not changed at all, and it has even become more and more serious with age. Sometimes when Hanzija sees Mu Niankai holding a face and staring at the little girls on TV with makeup that is thicker than the girls, Hanzija feels inexplicably unhappy in his heart. Sometimes he even feels that Mu Niankai is there a distortion of aesthetics, or is this guy out of his mind? From the perspective of Hanzija, a straight man, he really doesn't see what's so attractive about those male celebrities who don't have any masculinity at all. Look at that guy with thin arms and legs. Will he still need to protect him when he is with his girlfriend in the future? After Mu Niankai heard Hanzija's unpleasant words, her face immediately dropped. She turned away and looked at the black suit Hanzija was wearing today. The first time she saw Hanzija wearing a suit, Mu Niankai's eyes almost popped out. He was like a cold, ascetic, and overbearing CEO from a novel. But after watching it for a long time, Mu Niankai's enthusiasm gradually faded away, because Hanzija wore a suit every day, and Mu Niankai was tired of seeing it. Moreover, he has been very busy at work recently, and Mu Niankai is often left at home by him. At such a young age, Mu Niankai feels like a yellow-faced woman. Go to your class. What are you talking about? I'm hanging out with Yu Xiaoying and the others. Hanzija still expressed doubts, well, because she also denied it when she was a nymphomaniac. Who knows which time is true and which time is false? Well, by the way, I have a short vacation next month. Do you want to go somewhere? Hanzija changed the topic, but his tone was still gentle. Mu Niankai tilted her head and thought for a while, I'll think about it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1369. Chapter 1369 Mu Niankai, that's enough for you. Well, think about it and tell me, I'm going to work. Hansaja said, then walked towards Muniankai, possessed him, and was about to give Muniankai a goodbye kiss, but before the kiss fell on Muniankai's lips, Muniankai's eyes suddenly lit up and she discovered something. Then he pushed Hansaja away violently. Hansaja staggered, took several steps back for no apparent reason, and almost sat on the ground. What are you doing? Hansaja looked at Muniankai inexplicably. But Muniankai stood up angrily with a cold face, walked up to Hansaja, pointed at the white mark on his chest, and asked, "What is this? How come a woman's foundation rubs on you? Are you? You ate it outside behind my back. Hansaja, explain it to me clearly, otherwise I won't forgive you." Muniankai spoke very fast when she got excited. Hansaja was stunned and couldn't get in even a single word. After listening to Muniankai for a while, he just said aggrievedly, "I really know, how dare I don't know what's going on. How dare he fool around outside behind Muniankai's back? Not to mention that he has been a good man for a long time. Even if he really had this idea, he would not have the courage. After all, this ant is really hard to offend. If he knew that he had done something wrong to her, it would bring down the entire company. Humph, Hansaja, don't think of me as a fool. If you weren't having an affair with other women, how could you get into other people's faces?" Muniankai stared at Hansaja as if she was determined. If nothing else, Hansaja had a criminal record before. He had so many girlfriends in the past, it was common for him to have two people. Muniankai, that's enough. It was the first time that Hansaja spoke to Muniankai with such a cold attitude. Hansaja had a straight face and his eyes were extremely cold. "I will only say this once, I did not cheat, and you are the only one in my heart, man, do you believe it or not?" Hansaja said and turned around and left without looking back. Muniankai stood there, maybe feeling a little guilty, or maybe she was shocked by Hansaja's words just now, and felt that she might have really wronged Hansaja. Muniankai quickly jumped out and chased Hansaja. Muniankai saw Hansaja's solemn back at the entrance of the elevator. Muniankai bit her lower lip, her face full of tangles. But after the elevator dinged and opened, Muniankai was afraid that Hansaja would leave directly. So he couldn't help shouting, "Hansaja!" Hansaja took back the steps he took just now and turned around to look over. Muniankai had already ran over and threw herself into his arms. Hansaja was startled and took a few steps back before standing firm. Hansaja remained expressionless, letting Muniankai hold him. Muniankai grabbed Hansaja's arm and pressed her head against his broad and thick chest. The circles under her eyes suddenly turned red. Of course she believed that Hansaja liked her, but she was not confident that Hansaja would always like her. She knew that she was not a good girl, she had a bad temper, and she had always been bossy towards Hansaja. Hansaja was always accommodating her when he was with her, but she had no choice. She was also trying to correct her bad habits, but it took a long time. She was afraid that Hansaja would be tired of her before that time came. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1370. Chapter 1370 Love Me More. Hansaja may not know how much Muniankai likes Hansaja. Even Muniankai couldn't give a general idea, but in short, she liked it very much. Like it, Hansaja has become a part of Muniankai's life. If one day this part disappears, then Muniankai's life will become meaningless. It's not so much that she doesn't believe in Hansaja, but that she doesn't believe in herself. I don't believe that someone like me will always be loved and protected by someone as good as Hansaja. After calming down for a while, Hansaja's anger was mostly gone. Hansaja's expression gradually became gentler. Looking at Muniankai in his arms, Hansaja remembered what he had just said, and it seemed that he had really spoken a little harshly. He has never spoken to Muniankai with that attitude and tone. This girl may be really frightened. She probably thinks that she is having an affair and has no patience with her. Looking at her aggrieved little face and eyes filled with sadness when she just ran over, Hanzaja already regretted deeply in his heart. I'm sorry, Nian-chi, I spoke a little too harshly just now. Because I think that if you really like me, you shouldn't doubt me. What's more, how could I betray you or fall in love with someone else? Muniankai listened to the gentle apology coming from above her head. Her heart was filled with panic, she choked for a long time, and she was speechless for a moment. Feeling the trembling of the person in his arms, Hanzaja became anxious, thinking that he had really made her cry. So there was another round of apology. I've already apologized, so please stop crying. Or how do you want me to compensate you? Hanzaja said in a negotiating tone. Do you think I've been too busy recently and don't have time to accompany you? Then would you like to take a long vacation with you? Haven't you always wanted to go to Belgium? How about we go to Belgium? Muniankai's guilty tone became even stronger as she listened to Hanzaja's words. Because of this, he actually started to cry. Hearing Muniankai cry, Hanzaja became even more confused. Why is it that the more comfort you get, the worse it gets? So what should he do? Hanzaja has already started to have a headache. Hanzaja, you big idiot. Well, I'm a big idiot. In order to make Muniankai happy, Hanzaja agreed to everything she said, no matter what she said. Muniankai was amused by Hanzaja, with tears in her eyes. Muniankai raised her head and looked at Hanzaja. Hanzaja looked at her lovingly and wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes with his fingers. Tisk, why are you crying? The more you cry, the uglier it becomes. Although Hanzaja said he was disgusted, his eyebrows and eyes smiled very lovingly. Hanzaja, you are really a big fool. I am obviously the one who made the mistake, why do you want to take all the blame? You will spoil me rotten and turn me into a selfish villain, making everyone hate me. Hanzaja curled his eyes and stroked Muniankai's long hair, because I was afraid of losing you, and I was also at fault. I shouldn't have yelled at you. As for the last point, I deliberately hurt you, spoil yourself and make everyone hate you, so you won't be snatched away. Hate. Muniankai was moved to tears by Hanzaja, and the tears that had just stopped burst out again. You can't be so nice to me, it will make me feel guilty. Hanzaja hugged Muniankai and said seriously, word by word, if you feel guilty, just love me more. End of this chapter.